SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
At Community Bank, we're here for every part of your financial journey. From personal banking to growing your business or buying a home, our expert guidance makes it simple. We're more than a bank. We're your partner for life's biggest moments. Community Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man, way past 21.
Good morning. Welcome in. Welcome aboard. Thanks for joining us as we start another day, middle of the week, Wednesday morning, the 18th of February. This is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi, presented by Community Bank, online at communitybank.net. Community Bank, rooted in our community. I'm Richard Cross, got Lance Tolbert alongside. Good morning, sir.
How's it going today, man?
Life's good.
Yeah.
I feel better this morning than I did yesterday. I didn't even feel bad yesterday morning. I just had a little issue.
You had a blip on the radar.
A blip on the radar, and then all was well, which is, I suppose, the best kind of blip on the radar.
That gone as fast as possible. Bogey
right.
out.
That's right. You realize that yesterday was 1 year of Mornings with Richard Cross?
Really? Well, that's pretty cool, huh?
Officially yesterday.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Logging the hours the man is.
Yeah.
Not only Mornings with Richard Cross, but moonlighting in the afternoons and continually doing the great work you do on sports.
Well, it's
calling games, man. It's not easy. I know you make it sound like, oh, this ain't nothing to it, but
yeah, very kind of you.
Yeah, well, you do
very
a great job, man. You do a great job. And it has been an absolute pleasure. So, I mean, before we go any further, let's get that out of the way. The formalities and the backslapping, and it's been a blast hanging out with you for a year. And we did a little bit more before, but, you know.
We did.
It's formal Mornings
That's
with
right.
Richard Cross. So.
Yeah, and we appreciate that very much. Also appreciate your interaction on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. Give your business the edge with gigabit fiber internet from C Spire. Check them out online at cspire.com. C Spire, customer inspired. We don't do this very often, but you get up with us and you text us at 6:06 a.m., then I'll grab it. You said yesterday that Trump's style was that of a bully. My first thought was those old school football coaches, kind of like Bull Sullivan at East Mississippi Community College, more like a drill sergeant than a coach. They didn't mind raising their voice, or worse, to get your attention. As rough as it was, the athletes would love them. Coaching styles have changed drastically since the Bull Sullivan days at EMCC, and probably maybe the high school coach that you had. There is a very different approach to today's young person. Whether it's necessary or not, that's up for debate. I don't know that individually we are softer, but as a society, we are much softer. I'm not even characterizing that necessarily as a bad thing. But man, oh man, when you see somebody that's tough, like legit tough, not fake tough, you recognize it today as a trait that sets someone apart. And Donald Trump is tough. There's no question about that. Watching the weather in two different spots. Watching it here in Mississippi, because of what we went through a couple of weeks ago, we're just all in the mode of, man, just let it warm up and spring get here. Or at least I feel like most of us are in that mode. We might have a few turkey hunters that are okay with it staying coolish with turkey season just around the corner. But then also kind of watching the mountains out west and wondering if they're ever going to get any snow. And the answer finally, Lance told you yesterday, it's coming. It's coming. It arrived yesterday. Or maybe it was 2 days ago we were talking about that. I mean, it was dumping snow in the Rockies. I mean, from California all the way to Montana, east into Colorado and Wyoming, and they almost all of them need it. There are a few areas out west that have gotten some decent snow this year, but by and large, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, it's just been kind of, not anymore. I say that, Lance, because I got a bunch of buddies that are kind of heading out for some guys' trips or have spring break coming up or whatever, and it's like cheering for everybody to have some snow.
A little powder doesn't hurt when you go on a ski trip. Yeah.
So that's the out west weather, and the back home weather. Well, Amory, you're going to be cloudy today, high of 73. It was windy yesterday. It's going to be windy again today. And normally you associate wind out of the south with the warm breeze. When it's howling, sometimes it all feels chilly. 10 to 15 miles an hour in Amory. Leland, cloudy for you with high of 71. South-southwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Overcast and 77 in Meridian today, 10 to 15 miles an hour out of the south-southwest. And Socher checking in at 77 with cloudy skies. Same wind for you out of the south at 10 to 15 miles per hour. You know, yesterday, Lance, I don't know how it was for you in the Cap City, but we were supposed to be knocking on the door of 70. I'm not sure 70 ever even made it to our street.
No.
And it was cold with the wind.
It was a little chilly here. I mean, 60 isn't chilly, but when you add the wind and kind of the dampness to it, it was definitely not 70 degrees yesterday.
So much about like what you think it's going to be too. Like if you've got your mind set on it being warm and it doesn't quite warm up, you're like, man, it's cold today. Whereas just a couple of days ago, you'd be like, this is great.
This perspective, right? Definitely.
Mary the First of England, born in 1516, served as the Queen of England from 1553 to 1558. There are lots of things you might want to be known as the Queen. I'm not sure that Bloody Mary is one of them, but that is what she was nicknamed or known as for her persecution of the Protestants. Alessandro Volta, born in 1745, the Italian physicist and inventor of the first electrical battery. We named the Volt after him. Enzo Ferrari was born on this day in 1898. Lived to be 90. The Italian race car driver and founder of the Ferrari Automobile Company.
Wouldn't that be a cool gig, though? Thinking, I mean, you're born before the 1900s. You come in, you're a car guy, and so you basically get to go from the invention of the car and to what you're seeing today. It'd be, I mean, I imagine that would be a really cool. 1988 he passed. I mean, the Ferrari was a pretty big deal in 1988. But man, just the renditions of the Ferrari, all the cars during that time. But he pretty much owned the track courses, right? I mean, the Le Mans, those types of things. Yeah, I mean, they owned them. But watching that, just develop, I imagine he was sitting there just like mind blown.
Yeah.
Like,
what you go from the invention of the car to the invention of one of the greatest cars ever.
Yeah, I mean, how does that happen, And they built something else. I can't remember what it was, like horses and carriages or something beforehand. So really, I'm always fascinated with the car world.
Yeah.
Because it seemed to change so quickly.
The horses and carriages were not as fast as the Ferraris.
It's like the bicycle. You had the Wright brothers. They were the bicycle guys. And they just said, hey, let's make an airplane.
Yeah. Louis Comfort Tiffany was born on this day in 1848. That would be February the 18th. He was the American artist famous for his stained glass work and for founding Tiffany and Company. And though the company actually predates him, he led its artistic direction. Of course, Tiffany, now known as the Diamond Store. Man, if you've ever been to Tiffany and Company on in New York, but not recently. They shut that place down and had a temporary location and have reopened. And it is spectacular. I mean, it's 6 floors, five or 6 floors of just diamond after diamond after diamond.
You got to bring your Amex, right? The Amex Black.
Yeah. It better not be just a normal one either. Although you can get some.
You like a piece of stainless steel or what?
You can get some keepsakes, sterling silver,
keychain,
or ornaments or things like that can be a nice memory without breaking the bank. But I got a video I got to show you. We went this year at Christmas, and lady was really nice, and Francis was with me, and we were looking at a diamond ring on the first floor. Like the diamond floor, I think, is the 5th. But anyway, and the lady behind the counter looks at Francis, who's kind of oohing and goohing over this diamond ring. She goes, "Hey, you want to try it on?" I was like, "Uh-oh." Pulls it out, tries it on. She goes, "Daddy, can I get it?" She's wearing a $1 million ring.
You can afford that. Come on. Might have
I
to
was
sell
like,
a plane.
No, Franny, and take that off and put it back right now. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. Just getting started with you. We're back after this.
That's right. From the Vetable Glass.
What are we going to do? Rise and shine with information and insight.
Check it out.
Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi.
Been playing at a room on the strip for 10 years in Vegas. And every night she looks in the mirror and she only ages. She's been reading about Nashville and all the records that everybody's buying.
Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. I don't know when we started doing this, but Country Music Wednesdays have been, I think, the single most significant addition to the show.
It's the greatest thing we've ever done.
It's the greatest thing we've ever done. Other than interact with our listeners on the C Spire text line who are quick, who are smart, who are knowledgeable, who are intrepid, and who several of us tell us that Enzo Ferrari built tractors.
That's what it was. It was tractors, yeah.
Which is not quite the same as horse and buggy. But, hey, we're maybe in the same area.
Add a few gears to that.
John Travolta, born on this day in 1954, Saturday Night Fever, Grease, Pulp Fiction, and so much more.
Sandy, this is Danny. Don't kiss me. I'm allergic.
This car is automatic.
Automatic, man.
It's hot. It's hydromatic. Matt Dillon, born on this day in 1964. The Outsiders are Something About Mary. Crash. How about Dre, as in Dr. Dre? Today in 1965, the legendary rapper, producer, and entrepreneur. Co-founder of the Beats brand, Beats by Dre. And a key figure in hip-hop. He was with NWA. Perhaps you remember his best record, The Chronic. Molly Ringwald. She's 58, born in 1968. The 1980s teen icon. Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles, and a pretty fun 80s band as well. The Molly Ringwalds.
Oh, yeah.
Yoko Ono's 93. She's described as a Japanese multimedia artist, singer, and peace activist. I love this. Known for her work with John Lennon. Oh, really?
Wow, yeah.
Sybil Shepherd is 76, the actress and model best known for the show Moonlighting. She had a place in Memphis for a while. I always remember them saying, "Oh, yeah, Sybil Shepherd's got a place up there overlooking the river." Great. Vanna, Vanna White, 69 years young today. Co-host of Wheel of Fortune. And one more birthday for you. Who could forget Jack Palance? Born in 1919, lived till 2006. Won an Oscar for City Slickers.
Oh, he's awesome, man.
What a movie that was, too.
And the cologne commercials, too. You know?
Yeah.
It's like a bear paw. He would just...
Billy Crystal pulls out the little individual coffee grinder.
Yeah.
Starts the stampede. On this day in 1229, during the Sixth Crusade, the Holy Roman Emperor Frederick II signed a peaceful truce with Egyptian Sultan Al-Kamil, regaining control of Jerusalem, Nazareth, and Bethlehem for the Christians without major fighting. It was a rare, peaceful diplomatic success during the Crusades. In 1478, George, Duke of Clarence, who was the brother of King Edward IV, executed in the Tower of London for treason. But in one of the more bizarre royal executions in English history, legendarily, he was drowned in a butt of Malmsey wine. Which feels like a tough way to go.
Yeah.
In 1519, Hernan Cortez set sail from Cuba with about 500 men and 11 ships. He had bad intentions, beginning his famous and controversial expedition that leads to the conquest of the Aztec Empire in Mexico.
Man, I wrote a 60-page thesis on that one.
Really?
I lived down in Mexico after I wrote that. Yeah,
Bad dude?
Bad dude, man. Bad dude.
Jefferson Davis inaugurated as the provisional president of the Confederate States of America in Montgomery, Alabama, just weeks before the Civil War erupted. That was in 1861. How about this? What a day for literature. 1885, Mark Twain's masterpiece, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, published in the United States, widely regarded now as one of the great American novels for its exploration of race, freedom, and society.
Hey, man, let me tell you, if you've never read Innocents Abroad, that is his first real work. He was a newspaperman, you know, and talked his publisher into letting him go to the Holy Land with a group of pilgrims, Christian pilgrims. And so he basically creates travel literature, and that's his first entree into, you know, fame. But the work he does there is amazing because it really sets him up as a humorist. And some of the insights that he shares along that long trip is like 4 months. And it was not easy back then, getting from the United States to the Holy Land and then trekking over desert and all that. But the insights he shares there was just amazing. So if you've never read Innocents Abroad, it's amazing work. And it's really the trampoline that gets him fame.
There you go. Library recommendations from Lance. In 1929, they had the first Academy Awards, the Oscars, and they were announced by the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts, and Sciences, and you didn't have to watch a 3-hour ceremony to get them. They just released a list. Kind of wish they'd do that now.
It's like, you know, did I pass or fail my class, huh?
Yeah. 1930, American astronomer Clyde Tombaugh discovered Pluto. Did so at Lowell Observatory in Arizona, making it the 9th planet in our solar system at the time. And then about, 75 years later, you had somebody that thought they were really smart and needed to complicate things. It's like, well, it's not really a planet. It's more of a dwarf planet, so we're going to kind of call it a planet. But it just...
Dude was 24 years old, too, when he found it.
Yeah. 1945. The United States Marines, God bless them, launched the massive amphibious invasion of Iwo Jima during World War II. Brutal battle that becomes iconic for the flag-raising photo on Mount Suribachi and its high casualties. You want to talk about tough. 1978, the first Ironman triathlon was held in Hawaii. Remember when you could watch that on television? They stopped doing it a few years ago. competitor swam 2.4 miles in the Pacific Ocean, biked 112 miles, and then ran a full marathon through the lava fields of 26.2 miles. It became one of the world's toughest endurance races. You just watch that thing with awe. Man, those guys. And then finally in 2001, 25 years ago, quarter century, legendary NASCAR driver Dale Earnhardt Sr. tragically dies in a last lap crash at the Daytona 500. It is one of the most shocking moments in motorsports history. Some of what happened on this day. It's a pretty good list today.
Pretty loaded up.
Diverse. A lot of different stuff. All right, let's get your news headlines this morning. The federal government stepping in to offer assistance to local officials and nonprofits in an additional 18 counties that were affected by Winter Storm Fern. We're a few weeks removed from the weather event, still its effects lingering, especially in the cleanup of debris, damage to homes, businesses, and other facilities. FEMA offering public assistance grants to support debris removal and permanent work to repair public facilities damaged by the storm. I guess that's assuming that Congress sees to it that FEMA gets funded. The announcement follows President Trump's allocation of $39.1 million for storm relief. Probably should be classified as a good start. At the height of the storm, more than 180,000 power outages persisted while many residents were unable to navigate roadways. 29 deaths attributed to the storm. If you want to see the full list of counties, we've got them for you right there online at supertalk.fm. Pretty cool story out of Jackson State. Using $14.5 million in funding to investigate cardiovascular disease and related health risks in black Mississippians. The money resulted from a 10-year contract that the university inked with the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute and the National Institute on Minority Health and Health Disparities to extend its Jackson Heart Study Graduate Training and Education Center. The Jackson Heart Study is the largest investigation of cardiovascular disease in African Americans. Its work has spanned more than 5,300 patients between the ages of 34 and 85, generating decades of data and biological samples used to advance scientific understanding and improve prevention and care. Heart disease remains the leading cause of death in Mississippi. Interim Jackson State President Dr. Denise Jones-Gregory said this investment reflects Jackson State's continued leadership as a research institution.
Tell me one more time so I'll understand.
From the Seabrook.
Hey, how's it going, man?
The news you need.
Every 10, 15 minutes, there's something.
The talk you love.
They really talk about the things that matter.
I'm into all that stuff.
Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk, Mississippi.
1 July in the midnight hour, he climbed up on the water tower, stood on the rail and painted a 10-foot heart. And John Deere green, on a hot summer night, he wrote Billy Bob Love Charlene, and let her 3 foot high.
Glad to be with you this morning. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm and SuperTalk TV. Presented by Community Bank, online at communitybank.net. Rooted in our community. Ferrari did not make tractors. That is a misconception that many people have. Lamborghini started off as a tractor company, not Ferrari. Ferrari only made cars. That is said with a great deal of confidence, so until fact check otherwise, I'll believe you. Somebody said I have mispronounced Jack Palance's name all these years. Jeff said that in Grenada. How have you pronounced it? And did I pronounce it right?
Palance is the way you say it, right?
I thought it was Jack Palance, wasn't it? Diary of Adam and Eve is one of my favorites and is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, if we're talking about Samuel Clements, yeah, he's one of the funniest, just naturally funny writers I've ever read. So.
Yeah. Somebody says you got to watch Ford versus Ferrari. That's one I want to watch. There are very few movies that have come out in the last, 5 years where I'm like, man, I want to see that.
You haven't seen that one yet? Oh, my goodness.
Wait, hold on a second. You're surprised?
No, I'm not
that
surprised.
I haven't seen a movie?
That's just one I figured, being a Ford guy, you would have probably been on top of that one. It is an amazing movie.
It is in the foreseeable future.
Yeah, that's definitely one you want to sit down with the family and watch. And
okay.
It's extremely historically relevant, and also there's a lot of bang for the buck with the picture itself. I mean, it's just very action-packed and a great drama as well. Hard to find a great mix of those two.
Very good. The University of Mississippi Medical Center is phasing in a multitude of care options for patients at a new outpatient facility in Ridgeland. Colony Park North, the latest addition in the hospital's mini clinics, will serve to expand access to specialty surgical care. It's right off I-55, just north of the Renaissance at Colony Park, 131,000 square foot campus. I mean, this is a big space for UMMC. Medical office building, ambulatory surgery facility, advanced imaging, education space. They're going to be able to, they've got a full-service lab, same-day surgical, or I guess what we have traditionally called outpatient surgery. Pre-op testing, post-op clinics, occupational physical therapy, pharmacy services, diagnostic imaging, MRI, PET scan, CT, X-ray, ultrasound, all of that. And listen to the specialties. This is crazy. Cardiology, cardiothoracic surgery, dermatology, gastroenterology, ophthalmology, orthopedics, otolaryngology, plastics. Cardiology's got started this week. Latest UMMC hospital opening follows the launch of Colony Park South, located right next to Colony Park North. They began welcoming patients there last year. Have you been through that area lately? Just south of the Renaissance at Colony Park? That area has... I mean, you wouldn't even recognize it. Exploded. Law enforcement officials are investigating after a vehicle crashed into a Natchez church. Sad story here. According to a report from the Adams County Sheriff's Office, deputies were dispatched to Smithland Baptist Church in reference to an automobile that had wrecked into the house of worship. On Monday, around 5 o'clock, upon arrival, deputies discovered a blue Mercury had left State Highway 61, traveled through the church gate, and collided with the front of the building. Initial findings indicate that the driver suffered an apparent medical emergency before leaving the roadway. Emergency responders tried to attend to the driver, weak pulse, ultimately passed away. And because the incident happened on a state highway, the Highway Patrol is taking the lead on this investigation. All right, hoop scores from last night. You had 3 games involving SEC teams. Florida rolls on. They are now 11-2 in conference play, 20-6 overall, and not a team that you want to see in your part of the bracket when the NCAA tournament rolls around. 76-62 over South Carolina. Texas beat LSU by 3. It was 88-85 down in Austin. Longhorns very much in the mix for an NCAA tournament bid. LSU very much not. Fun game in Lexington last night. Georgia with a resume-boosting win over Kentucky. 86-78 was the final in that one. Dogs get a win over the Cats. So that was hoops. Let's just stick with that for a second, because locally you had the rare Tuesday night college women's basketball game. And it must have gone well for Ole Miss, because Coach Yo got the blow-by handshake from Tennessee's Kim Caldwell. Because Tennessee, in its mind, not supposed to lose by 13 on the road on a Tuesday night to Ole Miss, but that's exactly what they did. Not only did they lose by 13, they gave up a 39 spot to Cody McMahon. Cody McMahon having an incredible year. Career high 39 points, which ties her with Ole Miss legends Eugenia Connor and Peggy Gillum for the third most points ever by a Rebel in a single game. She only trails Gillum and Bianca Thomas for the most in program history. The number of points for an SJB Pavilion record, 34 was the previous. Two of Ole Miss's 5 best individual scoring efforts in program history have now come against Tennessee. Peggy Gillum, she racked up 45 points against Tennessee in 1978. If you know Peggy, one of the kindest souls to ever walk the face of this earth. Just a wonderful person. McMahon also last night became the 5th Rebel all-time to reach the 2,000-point mark in her career. The others, Peggy and sister Jennifer Gillum, who was a gold medal Olympian. Arminty Price. I called almost every single one of her basketball games in her time at Ole Miss. And then Angel Baker. That's the group. What a win. What a win. A bunch of baseball yesterday afternoon. It was Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday afternoon games. Play a lot of them early in the season. Yesterday, you had Mississippi State hosting Troy, and the Bulldogs pounded out 16 hits. 13 runs, 16 hits, no errors. Clean ball game for Mississippi State in a 13-7 win over the Troy Trojans. Bulldogs go to 4-0 on the year. Ole Miss also got to 4-0, but it wasn't the prettiest. 7-6 over Arkansas State gave the Red Wolves their first loss. Ole Miss improved to 4-0. 7 runs, 13 hits, 5 errors. All of them throwing errors.
That pick move to second base was not working well.
Hey.
One of the funniest things in that whole broadcast was whoever Keith Kessinger was working with, while Arkansas State was winning substantially, he goes, yeah, the program Arkansas State, it's probably in the best shape it's ever been in program history. And I'm going, all right. Keith Kessinger coached there, and they were pretty good when he was there. Well, it took a couple innings before Keith kind of circled back and says, yeah, during my time at Arkansas State. I was like,
that's awesome.
Oh, it was great. It was priceless, man.
That is that's beautiful. Oh, I can't wait to ask Keith about that. That's awesome. Going to be great. Yeah. Let's see. What do you got? You got both State and Ole Miss in action this afternoon. Mississippi State hosting Alcorn State at 4. Ole Miss hosting Jackson State at 4. Southern Miss will get a day at home before they hit the road for Round Rock, Texas. Golden Eagles went to Hammond yesterday to take on Southeastern Louisiana. And they got a dub as well, moving to 3-1 on the year. Beat Sela 3-1. 2 runs in the 9th inning. This Southern Miss team early on, a bit of a flair for the dramatic. Might be something worth watching. Again, Golden Eagles headed to Round Rock for a tournament this weekend. Your morning sports update is brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Online, find them at pearlriverresort.com. You want to get into the sports yourself? How about a little trip to the Dancing Rabbit Golf Club? 2 18-hole championship courses, the Oaks and the Azaleas. Book your tee time online today. DancingRabbitGolf.com. Mississippi Lottery update is next.
From the Vettable Glass.
Coffee, conversations, and clarity. What a great way to start your Mississippi day. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Winner, 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 winner. No jackpot winner last night on the Mega Millions drawing. But, however, a ticket purchased at Fuel Time 10 in Madison matched 4 out of the 5 white balls and the mega ball. That's worth $30,000. Not a bad way to start your Wednesday morning. I mean, it's not $416 million, but it, as Grandma used to say, it beats a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. Next Mega Millions drawing Friday. Didn't stutter. $416 million. Let me back up. You didn't hear me incorrectly. $416 million. $193.1 million is the cash value. Those numbers from last night: 337, 44, 52, 63. The mega ball was 14. Powerball drawing tonight up to $169 million. Cash value just over $79 million. Bonus promotion winners were announced. The Mississippi Lottery Corporation celebrating new winners in its Three Stooges Fun-O-Rama and the Millionaire Maker bonus promotion. From the first Three Stooges bonus promotion, you had a $10,000 winner in Woodland, $5,000 in Tupelo, $2,000 in Biloxi, and $1,000 in Brandon. In the second Millionaire Maker bonus promotion, big winners popped up in Biloxi at $15,000, $10,000 winner in Starkville, $5,000 in Aberdeen, $2,000 in Tuscaloosa, and $1,000 in Hernando. Congratulations to all the winners. Keep entering your non-winning The Three Stooges and Millionaire Maker scratch-off tickets into the second chance for the next bonus promotion drawings. Those are coming up in March. Fun-O-Rama, they call it. I love that. Fun-O-Rama.
Got to win, man.
The Three Stooges Fun-O-Rama.
I love Three Stooges. I get caught every now and again back there. Curly's my guy, though.
Is he?
I love Curly. He's the best.
Yeah. I guess so.
You couldn't get away with any of that today, though. I mean, it'd be like lawsuits. You know? I mean,
for like double poking somebody in the eyes and slapping them in the back of the head.
Yeah, these dudes were rough on each other.
At Community Bank, we're more than just a place to manage your money. We're your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors. For decades, we've been rooted in our community, helping families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams, whether it's opening your first savings account, planning for a brighter future, or growing your business. We're here every step of the way. We're dedicated to our customers, committed to your success, and always here when you need us. Community Bank, rooted in our community. Member FDIC. Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank each and every day. Tell you what's coming up this morning in the 7 o'clock hour. About half an hour, 40 minutes from right now, Jay McDaniel will stop by. Jay is the executive director of the Mississippi Gaming Commission. We will talk to him about the ongoing battle that MGC has with illegal online gambling in Mississippi, what they are doing to crack down on it, and legislation that would change it. I can think of one piece of legislation that would change illegal online gambling. It's a little thing that we call legalized online gambling. But it's just a thought. Just a thought.
I'm going to have to shut down my site. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, it's a serious issue that the Gaming Commission is dealing with. We'll talk about that. I will ask Jay about the online sports betting piece, but that's not specifically where his focus is, and we've talked about that in the past. And then in the 8 o'clock hour, Max Higgins will join us. Joe emerged about a month ago after a bit of a quiet period, which is not exactly his nature if you know Joe Max. And going to be working in and with Tate County. Trying to work on the economic development front there. Joe's created a consulting company and bringing his expertise to North Mississippi. I look forward to our visit with Joe Max later this morning. We're going to take a time out. When we come back, have you heard about the frustration that package store owners have right now with the state of Mississippi, specifically with ABC, and its inefficiency to get product to the shelves? A legislative hearing on that issue yesterday. We'll unpack it next. Mornings of Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi. Thanks for starting your day with us.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
You're waking up to what matters. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
Get up every morning before the sun comes up, toss a lunchbox into a pickup truck. A long, hard day sure ain't much fun, but you gotta get it started if you wanna get it done. Just set your mind and roll up your sleeves. You're working on a working man's PhD.
7 o'clock hour. Cramming a bite of cinnamon roll in my mouth during the news. So sorry if I missed a news story that we can't live without. Good to be with you. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming online at supertalk.fm and SuperTalk TV. Thanks for taking us on the go with you if you're listening online or on the app. If you don't have the app, add it to your phone. It's free. It is the SuperTalk Live app available to you, and you can take us anywhere on the go. 7 o'clock hour is presented by MWG Employer Services. Running a business is tough, and if you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, you're not alone. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They can provide a custom plan just for you with a full range of solutions, and they will make it work for you in your budget, and boy, it's going to be money well spent. It's going to make your life easier dealing with MWG Employer Services. Give them a call today, 601-206-7966, or go to MWGEmployerServices.com. That's MWGEmployerServices.com. The C Spire text line is open to you at 601-879-4395. Again, 601-879-4395. This tax season, C Spire is helping you stretch your refund and still get the devices you want. Right now, new and current customers, can get 3 free devices plus 100 gigs of data for just $100. It's all part of C Spire's Ultimate Connect bundle. Any new iPhone or Samsung Galaxy free, and a free smartwatch and tablet to go with it. So don't wait. There's more to see. Shop now at cspire.com or visit your local C Spire store today. Lance, that may be the deal you've been waiting for. 100 gigs of data, new phone, watch, iPad, $100. Whew, what a deal. What a deal. There is no efficiency quite like government efficiency. I think it's fair to start by saying that the commissioner of the Department of Revenue, Chris Graham, largely has his hands tied. there's not a whole lot that Chris Graham can do about this, except for the fact that when you are in a position of leadership, that answer doesn't always fly. Here's the story. ABC in Mississippi, that is the alcohol beverage control entity, which falls under the Department of Revenue, has had ongoing alcohol shipment delays to package stores, hotels, casinos, resorts, and restaurants. And it's been going on for a long time. There was a House State Affairs Committee meeting yesterday to try and figure out what the heck's going on and how to fix it. State Representative Hank Zuber began the meeting by expressing frustration, saying, quote, "This hearing is about getting to the bottom of the problem. This hearing is about finding a solution. This hearing is about finding a solution that is timely." And then followed it up with, "And I think I can speak on behalf of the whole committee. We're not just frustrated." Slammed his hands on the desk and said, "We're upset and we're mad." Do you remember the phrase, when you point your finger at somebody else? Lance, what's the second half of it? Do you remember?
Oh, you point it back at yourself, right?
Yeah, when you point your finger at somebody else, you got three pointing back at you. Not Hank Zuber specifically, but the legislature could have fixed this a long time ago. They chose not to. No, that phrase died in committee. Yeah, that is attributable here. Members of the State Affairs Committee heard from Commissioner Chris Graham of the Department of Revenue, who is also the chair of the National Alcohol Beverage Control Association Board of Directors. He attributed the shipping delays to a combination of issues with conveyor belt software and the construction of a new warehouse. Now, Graham, to his credit, said, back in 2022, the legislature decided to build a new warehouse. Said the company that was being used to provide software support for the current conveyor belt system has ceased that support, resulting in the warehouse staff switching to a slower pick and pallet system, which has resulted in an ongoing backlog of orders that is just now starting to be resolved. Graham said part of the solution, 25 additional employees who are familiar with the pick and pallet system were hired to join and train existing staff. Said ABC is working 6 days a week to fill orders, and then on Sunday they are replenishing the warehouse, hoping the backlog will be cut in half by March, with the remainder expected to be completed by May. Told disgruntled lawmakers it will take time to get out of the backlog. So what's the result? What's the problem? Let's start with what's the problem. The problem is government inefficiency. I don't want to, Lance, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it with the understanding that somebody might go like, all right, big boy, go ahead and do it. I started to say it today. I'm going to say, if you give me 1 week, I've never worked in supply chain management. I've never worked in alcohol distribution. I have never worked in grocery distribution. But if you give me 1 week and the budget to do it, I think I could fix it. I think if you and I work together on it, Lance, I think we could fix it.
I think so.
Because this is not that complicated of a problem. If the supply is actually getting to the warehouse, distributing it to the retail locations in Mississippi is not that hard. And I say that because I know that grocery store distributorships operate all the time. You see that big fruitature truck rolling down the road. You see those Kroger trucks. You see those Walmart trucks. You see those Dollar General trucks. You see FedEx and UPS. You still see DHL? See, logistics and supply chain management is an entire industry. And yet I'm supposed to believe that because 4 years ago the legislature said, oh, let's build a new warehouse, and, well, the updates to our software for the conveyor belts aren't supported anymore. I'm supposed to believe that now liquor stores, casinos, hotels, and restaurants should go months without supply to be able to sell to their customers, putting the possibility of their ongoing livelihood, their ability to stay in business in jeopardy because of government inefficiency? That doesn't pass the smell test, friends. Not one little bit. Not one bit. You are talking about an over-regulated, over-monitored, hands tied behind its back entity running the distribution of alcohol for the entire state of Mississippi without the proper resources, the proper location, I guess the proper distribution mechanism, and without apparently the proper software for their conveyor belt system. And oh, by the way, you've got business owners saying, hey, you're still charging me for a full order, but then what I actually get is not a full order. Where's my money? We'll be back right after this.
From the Venable Glass Trap.
They ask where you heard it. You tell them.
I know you heard it. Right here.
Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Jukebox last night, he said it played a sad song, it made him cry. Went to his truck and got a 45. Bubba shot the jukebox last night.
I bet Bubba could figure the alcohol distribution problem out.
And just shoot that conveyor belt.
Yeah. Credit where it's due, the story written by Jeremy Patari. So, one of the things that Chris Graham said in terms of complaints about, businesses not having orders fully filled, but still being billed for the full order. Graham said simply, the system is set up so that only what is shipped is billed. Okay, that makes sense. Until you have someone sit down in the committee meeting and testify, who is a business owner, wine store owner, I believe, Anne Marie Smith with Rains Cellars, say that her business was recently billed for a full order when she only received a portion of it. So I respect what the commissioner says when he goes, look, the way this is set up, I get that it's a bad system. We've clearly got problems. We're trying to work through those problems. But the way it is set up is you only get billed for what gets shipped out to you. That makes sense, Mr. Commissioner. It's the way the system's set up. And then you immediately have a business owner behind him go, yeah, we got a full bill and we got half our order. We only got part of our order. You can make this an alcohol issue if you want to. Like feel free. I mean, we got a message on the C Spire text line a second ago that said, this makes the preachers in the legislature happy. This is exactly what they want. But here's the thing. I'm looking at this not as an alcohol issue. Yes, alcohol is the product that we are talking about. I'm looking at this as a bigger issue. Why is the state of Mississippi in the alcohol distribution business? We make fun of New York City for getting into the grocery store business. But you're not a grocery store, you're a city. Go run a city. Well, Richard, it's a product with liability. We got liability for products all over the place. I sell you a welding machine, I've got liability for what I sold you. Does it work the way it's supposed to work? Could you kill yourself with it? Yes. You got to be careful, okay? Well, it's a revenue issue. What? The state collects revenue from every business that exists in the state of Mississippi. Ask me how I know. State income tax. Collect sales tax. And it's not like you write them a check for it. I mean, that stuff gets automatically deducted. Watch your gross sales turn into net sales when you see the sales tax come out of it. So a private business can operate that way. A dress store, a grocery store, an auto parts store, a barber shop. We can all pay sales tax to the state of Mississippi, but not on alcohol. No. The state, ABC, needs to be in control on alcohol. Why? Give me one good reason why this particular industry is different than, the beer industry or the light wine industry. Regulate it, tax it, collect the taxes, and then get the heck out of the way and allow somebody that knows what the heck they are doing in terms of distribution and supply chain get the product to the shelves in the stores.
Hey, I think to answer your question, $120 million in revenue for 2024 is likely the reason that.
But Lance, but here's the problem with that argument. How much tax revenue do casinos generate for the state of Mississippi? It's in the billions of dollars.
Sure.
Who owns them? The state? Does the state own the casinos and run the casinos?
Oh, no. I'm just saying the state's making $120 million just off of operating the ABC. Then you collect taxes on the sales.
Well, how much are they losing on this deal where they got to go build a new warehouse and put in a new conveyor belt system and update the software? I mean, it just makes zero sense. No sense. And I am not one to point to impropriety. And let me be clear. This is not directed at the Commissioner of Revenue, Chris Graham. It is not. But you cannot look at a business that operates as inefficiently as ABC in Mississippi and have any other reaction other than somebody's skimming somewhere. Product or delivery fees or something. Somebody's got to be. There's no other way to explain being that inefficient. Lance, what if a grocery store that needs to sell fresh lettuce and eggs and milk had empty shelves for multiple months? What would happen to them?
They'd go out of business, man.
Yep. Thomas in Greenwood, C-Spire text line, in before someone says Richard needs a drink. You're too late, Thomas. I got a text from a buddy of mine that says that.
Love it. But yeah, I mean, working in that industry, there's too many layers there. I mean, you have the ABC, which is in charge of distribution, where they rake in profit of last year, $120 million. According to the numbers, it says if the state were to privatize that, it would lose $94 million annually, roughly.
How?
And not being able to well, let's put it this way. You're paying a fee.
Oh, no. Say it the way you were going to say. Not being able to overcharge the retailers who are then going to overcharge the consumer?
There you go, buddy. You got it, man. Yeah. I mean, I'm with you on this.
So
100%.
privatize it and then take a cut from whoever your distributor is.
Mm-hmm. Direct sales would help. It's kind of like insurance. You want insurance prices to go down. You need more competition, not less. Same here. You need competition. The state is running a system in which it controls the mechanism. And in turn, they make a lot of money off the mechanism. And then, as you said, you'll charge them.
I got a question for you. What do you think the likelihood is that the $120 million that they make is spent on the operation to just keep the thing going?
I'd love to see the auditing of that. Yeah, give me a good forensic audit of what are you really making here?
Man, this is just one of those things that doesn't make any sense because, again, unless the issue is you cannot get the product from the manufacturer to the warehouse. So if Sazerac cannot get its product from its distilleries to the warehouse in Mississippi, even if it's a warehouse that's too small and needs a new one, whatever, unless that is the issue, then the breakdown is on the distribution end. And I think the Department of Revenue has kind of admitted that the breakdown's on the distribution end and that they've got a backlog. If you have a backlog, temporarily go hire more people to get it out. I mean, there was a Scott Horan, one of the state representatives, because there were a lot of these owners that proposed a will call system. The orders have to be filled by their rules in the order in which they were received. And you've had a lot of owners said, let us come pick the product up from you. It would be more efficient for us to drive to Jackson, rent a truck, drive to Jackson, come get the product, bring it back to our store. At least then we could sell it because we actually have it. And like, well, we don't really have the space for that or the number of loading docks. Kevin Horan said, I got some guys that can cut a door in the side of the building. And the response was, we don't have room for any more doors. Raise your hand if within the next 30 minutes you could find an available warehouse in the state of Mississippi that could handle distribution. I'm raising my hand. Lance, are you raising your hand?
No, it's up.
If I gave you 30 minutes, could you find a warehouse big enough for distribution? Of course you could.
Sure.
Man.
I'll tell you what, Mississippi Food Network, go down there and check that operation out. And they're working on a heck of a lot less budget than what ABC is, and those guys know how to get it done. This thing's amazing to watch. So, yeah, it can be done. Privatized is the way to do it.
Charge the company that you privatize it with to run it. I bet they could pay you $120 million and still make a profit and be far more efficient. Mornings with Richard Cross. We're back with you right after this.
From the Seabrook
segment of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
You heard it here first.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Here comes the blues. Bound it down, load it up and truck it. Are we gonna do what they say can't be done? We've got a long way to go and a short time to get there. I'm eastbound up, watch our bandit run. Old Smoke has got.
Hey, and one more thing. Why does it take 6 or 7 years to build a warehouse? Man, they can build a Dollar General in 38 days. You've probably watched it happen across the street from your house. But we need 5 years to build a warehouse?
I'm telling you, man, get big and little Enos Burdette on it. It'd be done in a few minutes.
And you know what? If we could get the Burdettes and we could add the Duke brothers to the mix, man, they could distribute the whole state just in the back seat of their car. Apparently Roscoe P. Coltrane is in charge of the All right, sorry. Good to be with you this morning. It's morning. What's the name of this show? Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank, online at communitybank.net, rooted in our community. Jay McDaniel joins us right now. He is the executive director of the Mississippi Gaming Commission. Jay, I'm afraid you don't know what you just walked into. Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning, Richard. I'm a little worried. This is MGC.
No, don't be. I am curious if you've heard from any of your gaming operators in Mississippi about the alcohol distribution related issues, because we've heard that there's some casinos that don't have the product that they need for their customers.
Yeah, they haven't shared that directly with me, Richard. I don't get into a lot of the non-gaming as much, but I'm like you. I would imagine we got a lot of restaurants and nice fine dining along the coast and up the river that probably deal with the same issues.
Yeah. So on the gaming front, I think about a year ago we talked about the proliferation of illegal online gambling. The sites that are out there, some of the offshore sites, cease and desist letters that were coming from the state, coming from your office, and saying, hey, this can't work. Where are we in terms of an update?
Yeah, you're right. It was about a year ago. I think it was after the session last year. We pushed for a criminal penalties bill that would escalate some of these gaming penalties, which many of them are misdemeanors. So unfortunately, that didn't pass last year. So last summer, we picked a dozen of the sites. I mean, there's hundreds of these sites, Richard, but we picked the 12 that we identified sports betting sites, what we call online sweepstakes sites, basically just running illegal gambling on mobile devices. We sent 12 of those out last summer. We actually had 5 operators respond and say, we are taking our site down. We are sorry. We didn't realize it was illegal in Mississippi. For those that are still operating, we have basically gotten these cases in a posture where they could be prosecuted. The problem is you really need federal assistance on that. And we've had these discussions, but it's just not high on the priority list for the Department of Justice. So all that to say, Richard, it is still a very pervasive problem. It's not just a Mississippi problem. It is a nationwide problem. That's why I say we really need federal assistance on this. And it escalates. I mean, every time the 5 that we shut down or that we got stopped, I have no doubt there were 10 more that took their place, more than likely. So unfortunately, it's very difficult. And my job used to be 90% regulated gaming, 10% illegal. It's like 50-50 now. A lot of what we do is trying to stop the illegal market.
I'm curious how the Justice Department would look at this. And they go, well, hold on a second. So you've got casinos and you've got the lottery, but this is the line where you say, nope, we're not crossing it here. We're not doing it online. And now you want us to go after these people when you could just as easily legalize it. I understand that we're kind of conflating two issues when I ask that question, but I'm wondering if that has anything to do with the reticence of the DOJ to really go after this.
Yeah, I think that it's a combination of probably that. You've got, it's kind of a states issue. It was, sports betting was kind of a states issue, but we may talk about Kalshi in a minute. It's kind of becoming a federal issue. The federal government kind of has this product out there that now is a competitor with us and a competitor with the illegal market. So there's a lot of factors in there, Richard. It's also, one of those things. It's just, we recently had 2 high-profile federal cases against point shaving. You probably read about them. One involved NBA players, one involved college players. Unfortunate. A lot of that was caught because of the sports books, detecting the wagers. But, if you're going to go after those players, why aren't you going after some of these illegal operators that facilitate that? I mean, there's way more point shaving going on in the offline system, I guarantee you, than is running through our sports books. So it would just seem to go hand in hand with that. And to give our local federal, we've been in discussions with them. I'm not saying it's a non-starter. It's just one of those, it takes time to get it going, and I think the right case and the right person to take it to court.
Had a conversation with David Blunt not too terribly long ago, the Senate chair for gaming, and we were talking about online sports betting and the lack of appetite for that in the Senate has been the case year after year, while the House has been okay with it. And we kind of went down this road about predictive markets, Kalshi and others that are out there that has, I don't know, through semantics, become a de facto online gaming site, especially in the sports. Kalshi positions itself as an exchange where participants trade contracts with one another with prices reflecting the market's collective assessment of an outcome's likelihood. How's that any different than calling your bookie and getting the point spread?
Well, my answer is not any different. And that's what a lot of states are saying. There's litigation. If you've been following it, or for your listeners that don't know, I mean, this became, you're right, it's under the, this federal regulatory framework that the CFTC regulates, the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, used to regulate commodities. And then suddenly someone got the idea, well, let's make sports a commodity. Yeah. But when you look at it, Richard, it is, I mean, on the Super Bowl, you could bet on whether, one player was going to throw so many touchdowns. And when I say bet, that's what you're doing. I want to trade on the fact that so-and-so will score first. I mean, they're running prop bets. They're running parlays. It is essentially de facto sports betting. But the argument is the CFTC regulations call it what you just called it, so it's okay. And we have several federal circuit courts hearing that issue right now. I think ultimately it'll either be decided by the Supreme Court or the circuit split somewhere along the lines, or maybe all the circuits will agree on it. But right now it's just tied up in litigation. But from an outsider's view, I get the question all the time, why is this not sports betting? My argument is that it is, but it's a lot more difficult than me just, filing a lawsuit against them. Because like I said, it's being litigated right now across the country.
Jay McDaniel, Executive Director, Mississippi Gaming Commission. You've heard the analogy before where you got a couple of old timers that are sitting out there and they're watching two birds on a tree and they'll bet on which one's going to fly off first. And it's the idea, like if you're a gambler, you'll gamble on just about anything. And that's kind of where Kalshi is. I mean, we're talking specifically about sports, but I mean, politics and business and whether or not Elon Musk is going to become a trillionaire in calendar year 2026. You can literally trade / gamble on anything with these online predictive markets.
Yeah, that's right. And that's how it really got started with the Trump Biden election. It was not this past year, the year before election. The wagers on that election kind of springboarded to this idea of like, well, let's take it a step further. We had so many people wager on that election. Let's take it to sports. And the Super Bowl of 2025, it's kind of when they rolled it out. It was a mess. It was real clunky. But by March Madness, they had it going, and we rung the alarm bell last summer on this, that, this is something coming. And what we saw was it really explode this last football season, because football is where it is. And for Kalshi, 80 to 90% of those trades, I mean, you mentioned all this other stuff, but their estimates are 80 to 90% is now sports. Wow. Because, I mean, Richard, I have a son. He's 18 years old. He's asking me, what is this Kalshi? I mean, they're marketing to college students. Sure. It's like, if you're scared of going to a bookie, you can do this at 18. You can trade. And if I'm sitting there and I walk into Beaurivage and I bet, on New England to win the Super Bowl, or I go on Kalshi and I'm basically doing the same thing. I'm putting money on New England to win the Super Bowl. In my mind, it's no different. The thrill that I want to get out of the wager is right there on Kalshi. And that's my fear, is just how many 18 to 21-year-olds are doing this, and it's essentially sports bet.
All right, so I'm curious how much study you have done on the UK, on England, in terms of their gambling culture. I feel like, and can you hang through the break and us talk about this on the other side?
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Let me set this up before we go to break, and we'll talk about it when we come back. I feel like the in-your-face betting culture in the United States is relatively new. It's gone from the shadows to the forefront in the last decade, maybe 15 years. This is something that in England they have embraced forever. Paddy Power, William Hill, and all these other sports books that have kiosks in stadiums. They've got signage on players' jerseys. It has just been a part of their life. How is it different? Are there as many scandals in European soccer as there are in the NBA? Let's talk about that on the other side of this break. Is it that we are not embracing this enough? Is it just new? What do we need to be looking at? Jay McDaniel, Executive Director, Mississippi Gaming Commission. We're back with you right after this.
Check this out.
Now what can be offered to you?
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Information.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
In the parking lot, I said it's mighty hot. Maybe I could buy you a beer. She said, I'm glad you asked, but I'll have to pass, 'cause only members are allowed in here.
Good to be with you. It is Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi. Jay McDaniel is my guest, Executive Director at the Mississippi Gaming Commission. So let's go back to what I kind of set up before the break, and the idea that culturally gambling has been part of the way they operate in the United Kingdom and forever. Certainly for a long time, and it's been very front and center. I feel like it's newer in the United States. We know that gambling has always been around, but in terms of the way that it's advertised, the way that it's promoted, the way that it's readily available, has changed a little bit. Are there tons of scandals in the UK around European soccer and other sports that are bet on there, or is it such a way of life that it's just business as usual?
So it is definitely a way of life, particularly sports betting. I mean, it's just part of the culture in the UK. You know, you got football matches, soccer matches, and it's just you're betting in the facilities. And so, yeah, scandals do happen. I wouldn't say a ton. I mean, just last year, if you were to look it up, they had a scandal on a political election where actual politicians were involved in rigging an election. They had a scandal involving British basketball, but they seem to detect it. Because I think the nature of they have illegal platforms, but one thing I'll grant them, the UK Gambling Commission is a country's commission. I mean, it is the entire UK, and they regulate it across the board. One thing we don't have here, I mentioned, DOJ can look at it from a criminal aspect, but we don't have a nationwide regulatory body looking at gaming. It is a patchwork of 40 different states that have, some form of gambling, and we all have different rules, different regulations. When we find a problem, we enforce it specifically. So I think that's one advantage the UK has is, yes, it's part of the culture, but they have a nationwide gambling commission that takes this seriously. They look at everything, Richard. They'll find Google or Meta if they've got online advertisements running through Facebook, they'll charge them. They'll charge the operators if they let a problem gambler who has excluded himself game. They basically try and cover it all. And yeah, while they don't hit everything, I do think that framework of a national regulatory body, if we could have that, I think it would certainly help. If that's where this country is now, it's certainly something to look at.
Here in Mississippi, just last week, we were talking about a bill that was in the legislature that would tie child support payments and delinquent child support payments to sports betting. Any winnings over $2,000 could be garnished for back child support. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, that looks like it's going to pass this year because both the House and the Senate have both passed a bill. Representative McKnight, I believe, authored a bill in the House, and then Senator Michelle in the Senate, and they both passed out. So one of them is going to pass it, I believe.
Okay.
So it looks like that's coming this year. In the past, that passed out of the Senate and kind of died with the other gaming bills. The gaming bills just haven't passed in the last few years because of mobile sports betting. I think but this has kind of not been tied into it this year. So it's, as you said, basically you owe child support and DHS has a record of you and for whatever reason can't collect it directly. The casinos, if the bill passes, will have that list updated regularly. And if you win a $3,000 jackpot and you have $1,000 in child support, they will come to the slot machine, give you $2,000 keep the 1,000 and send it to DHS. And if that bill passes, we'll be working with DHS to put that in place. I think the deadline is January of 2027. Louisiana does it. It does have an impact. It collects a lot of unpaid child support. At least puts a dent in it.
Are you concerned about efficiency with that, or do you think your operators will be able to handle that?
That's been the concern. Is I think if we're going to do everything we can to do it the right way. It's going to be the DHS system that feeds the information to the casino real time and accurate, and is it something the casinos can check quickly? Because when you hit a jackpot, that's one reason this is done, is they've got to go do a W2G anyway. So they've got to put your information in. This will be one more kind of keystroke that they've got to do. And as long as you get, 99.9% of jackpot winners are not going to be on that list. So it'll be hopefully a quick no.
Sure.
But that's going to be our effort. From my standpoint is, if there's any problem with it at all, we'll take it back to the legislature. But hopefully it's going to run smoothly.
I know I've asked you about this in the past. We've talked kind of around online sports betting in particular, and that's something that has had a lot of support in the House, not so much in the Senate side of things. We've been told in the past that the operators in Mississippi are kind of 50-50 on that, whether they are for it or against it. Has there been any change with the operators in terms of where they stand on legalizing online sports betting?
Not that I can see, Richard. And look, I'm not going to fault anyone to have their opinion, but one problem I have with it. Oh, we're going.
Yeah, we're good. We got 45 seconds.
Okay, so real quickly, I believe if the current head count, we have 25 casinos. I think there's 16 for it, 9 against it. My problem is I was on that task force in 2023, and we pretty much had a split on that task force. And a lot of the arguments, Richard, were our revenues will go down. The brick and mortar sports revenues will go down. The problem I see, I've been watching the revenues the last 3 years. They are going down anyway. So is it not time to maybe look and say, are they really going to go down? Are we just going to stand on that argument? The other question is, again, the illegal continues to increase. I just think it's important to every year really analyze this. I wish all operators would look at it, look at how much money Louisiana's doing, how much money the other markets are doing, and just make a determination. I'm not going to tell them whether to do it or not, but it needs to be analyzed, I think, every year, whether it's good for this state and not just good for a handful of operators.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
The monitor switch lets you hear
breaking news. Super Talk, Mississippi.
I guess it's because I kind of changed my direction. Lord, I guess I went and broke their family tradition.
Welcome back. It is Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm and SuperTalk TV, presented by Community Bank. At Community Bank, we're here for every part of your financial journey. Looking to manage your personal finances? Our banking services make it simple, secure, and tailored to you. Ready to grow your business? We offer expert guidance and custom solutions to help your business thrive. Dreaming of a new home? Our mortgage specialists are here to make the process seamless, all designed with you in mind. We're more than just a bank. We're your partner for life's biggest moments. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC, equal housing lender. My thanks to Jay McDaniel, Executive Director of the Mississippi Gaming Commission. Good conversation with him. If you missed that, you can always go back and grab it online at supertalk.fm or as part of the Mornings with Richard Cross podcast, available to you for free every single day. Glad to have our next guest as well. It's been too long since we have visited with Joe Max Higgins. Joe, since we last talked, has launched a consulting company and is beginning his work with Tate County. Joe Max, good morning.
Good morning, Richard.
Great to be with you. Let's just do elephant in the room first, get that out of the way. Obviously, you worked in a different part of the state than you're working in now for a long time, had a lot of success. That came to an end, I don't know, a little less than a year ago. Anything you can or wish to say about that we should talk about before we move on?
No, I can't, Richard. I can't say anything about that due to an agreement, so I'm ready to move on.
All right. So the moving on is into consulting. You're still working in the development area and have partnered now with Tate County. Tell us a little bit about what where this is headed with Tate County in North Mississippi.
All right. Well, I'm gonna back up from there. About 30 days after my change, I formed 2 Equals Last. That's my consulting company, and I started marketing myself to communities to evaluate their budgets, their staff, their sites, just their overall programs, almost like a two EQ LAST checklist is what I called it. And my first client was Monroe County, Aberdeen, Amory, and I've been working with them, evaluating all their sites and all that stuff. Then I was approached by a private sector guy in Alabama who's got me working on condos and manufacturing plant expansions and construction and distribution logistics, you name it. And then I got a call around Christmas time from the folks at Tate County and said, would you come up and talk to us? We're without a director and we want to do a plan. And I went up and almost automatically connected with them and shared my thoughts with them. And probably about a week, 10 days later, we had a deal. And so I started the first of the month. I'm en route up there today. Been spending 2 days a week and 1 day remote up there evaluating everything. I'm meeting with the president of the community college, both the school superintendents today, some more of the board members. Got a board meeting tomorrow. And we are going through and evaluating the sites and their budgets and seeing where we can make them more competitive.
One of the things that you've always talked about, success in terms of economic development, especially when it comes to mega sites and major manufacturing, is having local community leaders that are willing to take a chance, maybe willing to take a little bit of a risk, and I think I'm using your words, willing to put their money where their mouth is. How has that gone with Tate County specifically?
Well, we've already had those talks. I mean, I think the first meeting we had our engineers in the room, we had county representatives in the room and other leaders, and we started looking at what they had, if they acquired property, how much it would cost to infrastructure it, what some of those could cost, and even to the point of what funding sources we might have. And we I put it up on the screen and started walking them through, and every so often I would check the pain threshold. And, I got to, okay. Now we eventually got there, okay? But I kind of know the parameters, I think, of what they're willing to do and want to do, and I think they can be competitive. I know they can be competitive if they do what we've talked about doing. And then the next thing you got to realize is the last session they did a 4-county alliance with Yalobusha, Panola, and Lafayette County and Tate, and they want me to evaluate that to see what partnership opportunities they have at play there. Most people probably don't realize, and the way economic development changes, probably some people at the state don't realize that back when Toyota was looking for their Tundra truck plant that went to San Antonio, there was a site near Como that was called the Como Mega Site, and it was Mississippi's entry, if you will, in the Toyota sweepstakes back then. So there are some big sites. I-55 is a tremendous asset. Being close to the Memphis metro area and that workforce that you can draw on is. DeSoto County is already a success story. Marshall County is probably the state's best kept secret, all up there in that quadrant. So I think there's, if these guys play their cards right, I think they can succeed. Now, they're still a small place. They're not a Jackson Metro. They're not a Memphis. They're not a Nashville. They're not a Huntsville. But I think that my experience over the years have been take smaller markets and have them punch above their weight. And I believe that Tate County can do that.
You're out of practice on these radio interviews because you just answered all my questions before I could even ask them. So
I'm sorry. Well, ask me some more. Right. Ask me some more.
No, one of the things that I wanted to go to was geography and proximity to the interstate. Obviously, Interstate 55 runs right through Tate County. You're right there past the Como exit, past the Sardis exit, past the Senatobia exit. So proximity to the interstate is something that Tate County has in spades. Panola County has it as well. How big of a factor is that not only is it on the interstate, but it's a corridor that runs from Chicago all the way to New Orleans.
Yeah, and you're 30 minutes from the Memphis metro area, the Memphis International Airport. I told somebody last week that the 13 miles of I-55 in Tate County and the 3 exits, it's my intention to make that some of the most valuable real estate in the country. But that's, Richard, in 40 years of doing this business, I have never, well, I'll take that back. For 3 years, I had Interstate 40. Rarely have I had interstate to sell. And you talk about checking the box. I mean, transportation, Memphis Regional Airport, I-55, I mean, Riverport we don't have, but, you know, that's not needed for most projects. So I think we're in good shape.
So the multi-county partnership is fascinating to me. Fascinating in part because I live in Lafayette County, but when you take Lafayette, Yellowbusha, Panola, and Tate, you are taking 4 counties that have different pros and different cons. Does pooling resources and tying those 4 counties together make it a more formidable force than Tate County perhaps trying to go it alone?
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, and look, I was never, when I came to Mississippi, I was tear everybody's face off, including the neighbors next door to you, is the way you win. And you still got to tell most everybody's face off. But when we put the 3 counties together in the Golden Triangle, all of a sudden I had different things to sell. You know, I had a college town to sell. You know, I had big sites in Clay County with big power. I had obviously the Golden Triangle Airport area. But if somebody came in and they didn't like living in one of the towns, or they didn't like what one of the towns had to offer, we could put our arm around their shoulders and walk them and say, well, let's go over here and look, or let's go over here and look. And, you know, Old Waverly was a play for some people. Starkville was a play for some people. The antebellum homes in Columbus were a play for some people. So believe it or not, I mean, that helps you. And, you know, I don't know how this thing will work. Hang on a minute. I don't know how this thing will work. I don't know that they know how it'll work.
Yeah. We're going to give you just a second. I don't know that they know how it'll work, but what I can tell you is, you know, when you sit down and start working, you know, taxation and where things go and where the wealth lives when a deal comes, those are the hard things that you got to work out. But I think the alliance that they formed, along with the possibility of overlaying REDAs, Regional Development Alliances, with cities and counties and other entities, as long as they're willing to sit at the table and talk about the possibility, I think it could be kind of fun. Yeah. Joe Max Higgins is my guest, founder and CEO of 2EQ Last. If you're trying to figure out what that means, second equals last in that parlance. You got time to hang with me for a couple more minutes?
I do.
All right. We're going to continue the conversation with Joe Max Higgins, and we will explore how you get through some of those issues that he was just talking a moment ago when you talk about a multi-county alliance. You've got it locked into Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. We'll take a quick time out. More with Joe Max on the other side of this break.
Bacon biscuits, baby, bake them good and brown. When you get them biscuits, bake them right about me pound. I got big at home, gonna feed him on. All I need is for a little girl, feed him where I'm going.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
MRC. Mornings with Richard Cross.
Let's get on with the show.
Check it out. Super Talk, Mississippi.
You and me both fishing in the dark, lying on our backs and counting the stars where the cool grass grows.
Glad to be with you this morning. It is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. Thanks for joining us. The C Spire text line is open to you, 601-879-4395. The number if you would like to join the conversation. Love to hear from you. And C Spire this tax season is helping you stretch your refund and still get the devices you want. Right now, new and current customers can get 3 free devices plus 100 gigs of data for just $100. There's more to see at cspire.com. Joe Max Higgins is my guest. So Joe Max, I had a conversation last week, I believe it was, with Ryan Miller, who's working as the economic development CEO for Oxford and Lafayette County, and we were talking about this multi-county alliance that you were discussing just a moment ago: Panola County, Tate County, Yalobusha County, and Lafayette County. And I asked him kind of, about the way you distribute. So if a big site, a big project happens in Panola County or Tate County, how do you decide who gets what? Who benefits the most from the tax revenue, from increase in home sales, job growth? How does that work?
What? Hey, did Ryan answer that, or did you just ask him? What was his answer? I'm curious to know.
Well, he talked about that being a big part of the discussion. When you look at when if everybody is putting in the same amount of money on the front end, how do you distribute it equally on the back end? And kind of what are the ancillary benefits? And he talked specifically about Lafayette County not having maybe the site and the land for some of the projects that might be of interest to the 4-county project, but some of the offshoot businesses that go with a major project, maybe that is something that's beneficial for Lafayette County.
Yeah, and that, Richard, that will be where the rubber meets the road. Okay, so I think you can structure deals where everybody puts in $1, everybody gets out $1. If you can figure that out, schools get tough. Okay, because schools typically don't share their money. That's a tough part of it. If everybody puts $1 in and gets $1 out, but one place gets all the housing or all the retail, then it's $1 in on the project, $1 out, but it's not a true $1 in, $1 out. When we put the Golden Triangle together, we met every week for a year, and we were going to do this alliance. And at about 6 months mark, we decided that, there's a different way we can do this. And that's what we went to in forming the link. And we called it Show and Go. And show was everybody was responsible. The show was the link. Okay. They had the staff, the expertise, the equipment, the budget to sell. And then each community was responsible for doing its improvements to support the project. In other words, Tibahaw County didn't participate in Clay County's mega site. Clay County did. Same thing in the Lowndes County deal. But Lowndes County and Clay County didn't participate in Mayor Spruill and the county's City County Industrial Park. And so we decided that was a better mousetrap. Now you've got RETAs that you can do partnerships and stuff like that. So I think we're just going to have to sit in a room and talk and run some numbers and let everybody feel comfortable. Everybody's got to understand, this can't be I win and everybody else loses. Everybody's got to get something out of it enough to justify them wanting to be at the table and be proud to be at the table. And it's not pretty, okay? Jackie Edwards was one of the representatives from Clay County on the team that put this together. Parker Wiseman was the mayor of Starkville. He was on the team. Probably out of 12 months, Jackie tried to kill Parker probably 8 out of the 12 months in meetings. In one meeting, she literally went for his neck and we had to restrain her. And I'm saying that jokingly, but it got that heated, okay? And but it's because you're playing for all the marbles in the sack they come in. So it's kind of important. So I think we can get there. I think one thing I'll bring to the table is knowing the questions to ask and say, are you comfortable with this? Do you like this? How do you feel about this? They'll ultimately decide.
What's the buy-in? If we make this a poker game and we say, hey, we got 8 guys and we're all going to put in $100 and we're going to play for the pot. I mean, this is a little bit different because you want everybody to be a winner to some degree, but what's the minimum buy-in to do this right for these 4 counties?
All right. So if you want to look at the big picture deal, let's say we want to identify a 1,500 acre mega site on I-55. Okay. What's the cost to acquire the property? What's the cost to water it, to sewer it? The state's going to participate some at some point in time. You got to figure out what that number is. Then you start dividing it. Okay. What, a mill is not worth the same amount in each of the 4 counties. In other words, I haven't run all 4 counties yet, but I think Tate County, a mill's worth about $250,000. So, they can only levy like 2 mills on the alliance that's formed. So, you've almost got a salary cap that you're playing against of what you can and can't do. So, and look, I think all four counties should sit down first and take care of themselves and make sure that they've got their stuff in order before they start doing that. And, I don't know what the buy-in is yet because I don't know what they want to do, but a mega site is, Lowndes County spent $25 million buying a 1,000-acre mega site, and then they got an infrastructure. The bottom line is you're going to have $35-40 million in the deal probably. So it's big numbers. If you say, I don't want to do a mega site, I want to do a 500-acre site, I want to do a 600-acre site, well, then the numbers go down. So ask me get me back on in July, and I'll be able to answer the question for you.
Well, so just using your numbers there, if it's a $40 million mega site, is it as simple as each of the 4 counties puts $10 million in to get it going? And are each of the 4 counties able to do that?
I don't think it's that simple. I think Yalobusha would be struggling to do that.
Okay.
I think I still got to run the math, but Lafayette would be in better shape financially to do it. But then you've got to ask the political leaders, is that something you want to spend your money on? Ultimately the supervisors and the mayors are going to have to, and the city councils are going to have to decide some of this stuff. But yeah, you kind of got it. You kind of got it. It costs a number, and then you got to apportion it. Who's going to pay for what?
Do you borrow that money, or do you have to pay cash for it up front?
Oh no, you'd borrow it. And look, there's ways. I've been looking at using the Rural Development Administration. There's ways that you can get a loan approved, and not have to spend it for 5 years. That's a chance to pre-sale, if you will. We're looking at the same thing. Blake Mendrop and I are looking at the same thing with, on the engineering side for water and sewer. Go ahead and get the applications, the plans, the specs, and everything done. And just don't borrow the money and stick a shovel in the ground, but tell a prospect, hey, I got it funded. Here's the plans and specs. It'll take you 2.5 years to build your plan. I can have this done in, let's say 13, 14 months. So, that's, Richard, here's the thing. The people that don't do this for a living just don't know. It daunts them, okay? Once you've done a few of these, it's kind of like, you're the Kentucky coach and you leave and go to Arkansas. The game really hadn't changed. It's the players and the stadium and the Coliseum or whatever has changed and the fans have changed. But the bottom line is the nuts and bolts of blocking and tackling is the same if we're in Mississippi or in Alabama or Tennessee at the end of the day.
All right, so what about the patience piece? We talked with some of the folks from the Greater Hattiesburg Partnership. They've got that Eagle One mega site that's ready to go. They've been close on some deals, and yet they haven't quite gotten to the finish line yet. What's the threshold for pain that Tate County, Panola County, Yalobusha County, Lafayette County, if they were to go all in on this, have to be willing to endure while waiting for the right project after they develop the site?
Yeah, and that's a big part of it, Richard. And in the Golden Triangle, they were spoiled. The first mega site, we got the steel mill before the options expired. Pat Carr came before the options expired. Yokohama came before the options expired. That's, everybody said, hell, this is easy. The Infinity mega site where the aluminum mill went, the county sat on for 10 or 11 years. Okay. Now, That's what they've got. That's what they've got to understand and realize. That's why it's very, very important. Not, we can't. If we did something like that, we can't roll out a mediocre. We can't have a mega site that's half-assed. Okay, we've got to have one that's a showstopper. That's a mic drop site. And the reality is, if you read the media in our trade journals, all the consultants tell you there are not enough mega sites in the country. They simply don't exist. They're a rarity. And I've been looking at the ones that are still available, that have been available for a long time. They generally have issues. And if they didn't have issues, they probably wouldn't be available. And so that's why if and when we did something like this, we would have to make sure that no issues existed.
Joe Max, always appreciate your time. Great catching up, and look forward to talking to you soon.
All right, brother. Call me offline and we'll visit.
Sounds good. Joe Max Higgins, founder and CEO of 2EQ Last, a consulting company that's working with public and private entities to further these big economic development projects. We'll take a time out. We're back with you after this. Half an hour remaining on MRC. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
From the Seabrook.
Know where the news is going next. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Elvira, Elvira, my heart's on fire for Elvira. Eyes that look like heaven, lips like cherry wine.
All right, so we got a problem with this song, Lance. There's only one part of that song that people really want to hear, but I can't wait long enough for them to get to giddy up, boom up, a boom up, a mow. You know,
yeah, it's tough
because I feel like everybody who was born somewhere between 1975 and about 1988 right now is humming along in their car or singing to themselves, giddy up, a boom up, a boom up, a mow. You know.
I was hoping it would be a little bit of one of those earworms, bringing back Elvira from the old days.
Yeah, we might have to have you cue up the chorus going into the.
Yeah, I will definitely do that.
No, you work your magic. I didn't even need to say that. We were thinking on the same wavelength. A lot of your messages coming in on the C Spire text line 601-879-4395, and it appears for some of you, that was the first time that you had ever heard from Joe Max Higgins. He is quite the character. He is brutally honest. He is blunt. And that is not everybody's cup of tea. But he is a phenomenal guest on the radio, and I think we'll continue to visit with Joe Max, talking about big economic development issues in the state. Let's get to some of your messages. C Spire text line. Going back to, let me mention this first. I thought the thing that at the very end of our conversation, Jay McDaniel said was really interesting. When I asked him about the online sports betting piece and whether or not operators' positions had changed. And his initial answer was, not really, or it doesn't seem like that's really the case. But then he got into the numbers and he talked about 25 casinos in the state of Mississippi. And we had always been under the impression, and I mean, I think David Blunt even sent me a chart one time that showed it was like 13 and 12. I mean, it was right at 50-50.
I love it.
In terms of who was for it and who was against it. Say what?
I said I love a chart. Good stuff. Here, you want to hear the giddy up? It's been waiting for you. Giddy up, boom.
Oh yeah, I'll give it to you. Wow, wow.
Giddy up, high old silver.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you for that. But when he said 25 operators, it appears as if 16 are for at this point online sports betting, and only 9 are against it. Well, that changes the equation in my mind. But his final thoughts about, look, the concern was about revenue going down, and revenue's already going down in terms of gaming-related revenue that comes back to the state of Mississippi. So we need to be analyzing this as a state on a year in, year out basis, and doing so without preconceived notions, not bringing our previous biases to the table and really looking at it and saying, does this make sense right now? And it needs to be done independently. It doesn't need to be based on any special interest. any lobbying groups. It truly needs to be a decision based on what is best for the state of Mississippi and what makes sense for the state of Mississippi today, not what made sense 3 years ago or 5 years ago or whatever the timeline may have been. The world's changing. And one of the things that Chairman Blunt pointed out is, he had looked at the tax revenue that would be related to online sports betting and that it had gone down significantly, and projections put it at somewhere in the, I think he told us $30 to $40 million range, almost as if that number was not significant enough to worry about it. I think that's still a pretty significant number. I think. And who's to say that the proliferation of online sports gambling might not lead to an increase in revenue? It might not. And what if it doesn't actually affect the bottom line of brick and mortar casinos? I feel like those operations have people that go to them because they like going to casinos. And I don't know that they would stop going just because they had the ability to place a bet from their phone. I don't align with the idea that this is a morality issue either. I know for many it is. I feel like I get in trouble when I say I don't love legislating morality because I think there's certain lines that you don't want to cross. But the possibility of someone getting themselves into trouble because they exercise their free will to make a bet or not make a bet, and maybe they've got a specific personality type that is obsessive compulsive and they can't stop, that is a sad situation. I don't know that it is the job of the legislature to regulate morality for those situations. And then you come up with what about scandals? What about pressure on players for prop bets? What about social media? It's the reality that we live in. I mean, if you want to say no individual player prop bets for college athletes in Mississippi through online gaming, okay. I mean, if you want to write that in, write it in. Some of your other messages. This one had said, I think I read this, or maybe I didn't. If people wanted to be on location to gamble, they would be. Sounds like a business problem. They should do better and be better for their customers, and then they wouldn't be scared of competition. Joey the Trucker says Monroe County has waterway, railway, roadways. We got trucks. Thanks, Joey. Did not get to this question. I did not see it in time to ask. My apologies. How does Joe Max feel about quality of place? For example, the Main Street movement as a contributor to economic development success. I do think he talked about that to some degree as it pertained to Golden Triangle. There were people that came in who were attracted to Starkville because it was a college town and because of the downtown area. There were people that were attracted to the West Point area because of Old Waverly. Like, each community has its pluses and its minuses, has its glowing features, but also has its drawbacks. Jerry in Brookhaven says, that dude was entertaining. Russ in Rankin, he's just telling it like it is. I love it. I mean, his answer to why does some mega sites sit empty, his words, not mine. You don't halfway do a project. If you were going to do a project of this scale and of this magnitude, talking about a mega site with interstate access along 55 in Panola, Tate, or Yellowbush County, you have to go all in and do it right the first time. And maybe there's a pain point there. Maybe it takes some blind trust and a little bit of faith. But if you're going to get what you want out of it, you got to prepare in the right way. Somebody says, he sounds like a snake oil salesman, carpet bagging 101. I actually responded to that, and I said, he may sound like that, but no snake oil salesman that I've ever heard of has the portfolio of success that Joe Max has. Somebody suggested Bernie Madoff, or the texter said Bernie Madoff had a great portfolio as well. I won't argue that, but what I will argue is this is tangible. It's dirt and pipe and concrete and steel and asphalt all coming together to prepare a place for a major company to come in and say, we want to make this our home base. Andy says, just like educational freedom decisions about gambling should be made in the interest of what's best for students and not systems or districts. I felt like Joe Max came out firing on all cylinders. He was ready. Let Joe Max respond to those. Well, he's not here to respond, so I was trying to relay some of the conversation that we had that falls in. All right, just a couple of minutes left with you. We'll wrap up the Wednesday morning edition of Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi. We're back right after this.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
No filibuster. Just everything you need to know to start your day smarter. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
I've been working in this factory for now 15 years. All this time I watched my woman drowning in a pool of tears. And I've seen a lot of good folk die, had a lot of bills to pay. I'd give the shirt right off of my back if I had the guts to say, take this job and shove it. I ain't working.
Thanks for being with us. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk Mississippi. Glad to be with you. It's been a fun show this morning. Covered a lot of ground, good guests. Jay McDaniel from the Mississippi Gaming Commission, and also Joe Max Higgins. You can join us on the C Spire text line at 601-879-4395. Again, 601-879-4395. That's the best way to connect, and I appreciate all of your messages. Lance, where do we want to finish today?
It's a Wednesday, so
yeah,
got to leave some meat on the bone, right?
I mean, weekend is just around the corner. We know that, and that's a lot of fun. DC's crazy. This SAVE Act deal that's going on in DC and how the Senate's going to handle it and what's going to do, and the horse trading back and forth on, well, we'll do this if you do this. All the while FEMA goes unfunded as part of the Department of Homeland Security, which seems like not a good thing. Conversation here in Mississippi about consolidation within the Department of Public Safety. We'll get to that tomorrow. What about Stephen Colbert?
Uh-oh.
You heard about this? No. You know, he's already been fired, kind of. They're canceling his show. It ends this spring. So he's kind of saying whatever he wants to say. He had an interview that was scheduled with James Tallarico, the Democrat running for Senate in Texas. And Colbert has lashed out at the FCC and CBS. Did so on Monday night after CBS scrapped that planned interview. Colbert said, quote, "We were told in no uncertain terms by our network's lawyers who called us directly that we could not have him on the broadcast." He added that he was also told that he couldn't mention that he wasn't able to bring the politician on the show, but said, since our bosses said we can't mention it, we are going to mention it. The issue is that the FCC, in the last little bit, has put out guidance that networks should take great care in scheduling political guests without creating equal time. If you're not familiar with equal time, it was certainly something that Rush Limbaugh talked about. His point all those years ago was, you demand equal time, I am equal time. He was saying that he was the balance to a Democrat narrative, a liberal narrative that was pervasive in mainstream media outlets. We have equal time rules. I would point you to the election season from a year ago. I can give you a real-time example for right now. We have a couple of major candidates that are going to be in line for for one of the seats in the United States Senate. Cindy Hyde-Smith, the incumbent, and Scott Colomb running against her. And I know there are other candidates that are still in the field right now, but if that becomes narrowed down to a two-person race, and we have an overtly campaign-centered conversation with Scott Colomb, then we have to offer the same opportunity in the same time slot for Cindy Hyde-Smith. And conversely, if we do that for Cindy Hyde-Smith, we have to make that available to Scott Colomb and his campaign. Just using that as an example. But that has long been the case in radio. Now, in television, talk shows, and interview shows, there has been an exception to that, to the equal time rule. But the FCC in their guidance said a show that is, quote, motivated by partisan purposes, close quote, would not be entitled to an exemption of the equal time rule. The FCC's guidance applies only to television and not radio, which is home to many right-leaning talk shows. In remarks criticizing the agency's chairman, Brendan Carr, Stephen Colbert said, "Sir, you're chairman of the FCC, so FCC you." I think I see what he did there. Yes, I think it would be fair to say that Stephen Colbert operates in a motivated by partisan purposes space. I don't know if CBS really cares what Stephen Colbert thinks or says at this point. They already cut him. He thinks they cut him, and other people do because of censorship. Some say it's because of bad ratings and losing money, which makes a little more sense. Thanks for being with us. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi. For Lance, I'm Richard. Have a great Wednesday.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.